Thank you, Olga, and thank you, Benedict, for the invitation and that I can also attend the conference. And if I recall correctly, it was 2 years ago in February that you had the first conference, volume number 1, where I was also giving a presentation and highlighting the coming project of Frecks, financed by the Finnish government. And now I use the situation or this opportunity to highlight that where we are now, where we are going in this project Frecks, and what kind of resources we have allocated here, what are our goals, what kind of execution plan we have, and those they like to then later on to define the more information. In the last slide are mine and my salvage masters email addresses. They can directly send emails to us and ask more. In these pictures, you can see Aranda, that's the SYKE, Finnish Environment Institute. That's my company, and you have already chat there with Mr. Juha Flinkman, my colleague, also present in this session. Aranda is our biggest research vessel in Finland. I think now it's the only one there, and it has a multiple set of devices for the marine research, and now especially for the Freck surveying. In this corner picture, you can see the glider instrument of the Finnish Met Office. And we have also used that because the system includes now the hydrocarbon detector and the similar devices in Tallinn, owned by the Tallinn Technical University, and in the future that we can use those 2 devices if needed. The Freck project, I don't know if you can see this.
Sorry to interrupt you, but if you could just do it full screen, and not because the presentation in the presentation mode, because we can see like the PowerPoint, not the presentation itself.
Is this okay, or should I take this full screen away?
Yes, please take it full screen. It will be the best.
Full screen is the best. Yeah, I'm using the full screen here. All right. So the mother project of our Freck project is a large-scale governmental project, about 55 million euros for 5 years, and started in the beginning of 2019. Frecks is one of the sub-projects. In this stage, is allocated only for 3 years, so it will be in the end of this year, but it might be so that there will be some kind of continuum for 2022, but let's see. It depends on how clever we are in this year and what kind of task jointly with our stakeholders, ministries, we can see for the future. The total budget for our project is 4 million euros, so it's not much if we think about that. How much does it cost one single oil removal operation from the Freck? There are cases in states $50 million to $100 million that you can get a scale about that we are trying to play in 3 years using 4 millions. The resources are explained here. We are the responsible organization. Why? We are like a research house. We have a maritime research division. We have a freshwater division. But the past 31 years, SYKE was the competent oil combating authority in Finland up to the end of the year 2018. And I was, for instance, the last 5 years, the head of this organization dealing with the oil combating. Frecks has been never listed to be any responsibility area for the competent authority. And that might be the case now that the government is trying to look further that which organizations, how, where to direct our concerns, how this case will be in the future. Our partners here, the main partners are Finnish Navy, Finnish Frontier Guard, Navy because during the 30 years, SYKE and Navy conducted some 10 oil removal operations. Those most known are Park Victory at Freck, where we took 270 tons of oil during the 7 years of a project. And the Estonia car ferry, who sank down more than 10 years ago, and we took there in a couple of months' time about 400 tons of oil. Then we have a Traficom, Finnish Transport Safety Agency, and it's an important partner because they have a lot of data on the Frecks. When they started to make the ECDIS sea charts, they have mapped all our sea areas, and they have defined a lot of new Frecks we didn't know before. In SYKE's Freck register, we have nowadays some 1,100 objects, plus a Traficom's, say, 400 to 500. Some of those objects we have in our and in their register. So my belief is that we have around 1,300 objects. Around 150 are the cases where are oil on board. And in this very moment, some 24, 25 Frecks are so-called high-risk object that we will recommend. We need to look them more carefully in the future. Then we have the Finnish Heritage Agency. All the Frecks older than 100 years in a way belongs to their concern. So already now the Frecks from the First World War belongs to the Finnish Heritage Agency, and if they have oil on board, then the concern is also within the environmental agencies. And then we have private sectors. A lot of companies, they are assisting, giving the hand for us, or we are ordering their services in our project. Because now we have a new oil competent authority in Finland, is the Finnish border guard, and the Frecks do not belong to their everyday process. We first try to have a training, refreshed training, and learn the guys there to understand what are the Frecks, what kind of means we will have if we will go to the salvage operations. One task that they have. Yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting you again, but the slides are not changing, so we basically cannot see what the slides you are talking about. If you could put it in a, yes, now it changed, but if you could put it in the presentation mode, using like this button in PowerPoint at the bottom right. Yeah.
I'm doing it here, and the slides
Jorma,
are changing in my system.
Jorma,
Yes, you have.
Jorma, if you have two displays, we can actually see the wrong one here. We can see the general view. We don't see that presentation view.
Yeah, thank you, Juha.
Interesting. Sorry, guys, then I need to go back there, and I'll take it away for a while, and I'll look around. And I never used the Zoom before. We have a different systems, and Zoom is not assembled to our laptops at SYKE.
Yeah, because we basically see the PowerPoint document, and the slides are not changing. It's not the presentation mode, so maybe you have like it on two screens or something like that.
Can you see it now?
Same as before, not in the display mode.
Jorma, click presentation mode at the lower field.
Not in Zoom, but in PowerPoint. Once you share the screen, then in PowerPoint, just do the presentation mode.
Oh yeah, my system will ask, will you allow Zoom to see your screen? And there are a handful of options. Entire screen is, for instance, one. If I will select that, that was the last time I was trying, and then the directly of my presentation. And if I allow it, I don't know if you can see anything.
Yeah, let me, because...
Yes, we can now click on the PowerPoint view, click the presentation mode.
I haven't done it, Juha, all the time. I don't know what is going on.
Yeah,
but I have
now,
not the apps.
Now when I see your screen, it's not in presentation mode. It used to be previously, but now it's not.
Yeah, I don't know what is violating my presentation now. Can you all take my presentation? I have it there also in the PDF, and if you can share the slides, then we can continue.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We can do that. But okay, I will share my screen. But actually, because I'm not sure if I mean, I assume that this is what you are doing. But I will show you what we see when you share the presentation. Yeah, so basically this is my presentation from the beginning. So once you've shared the screen, that's the way we saw it. And when you were changing the slides here, we didn't see the slides moving. And you have to like click here on this, and then it becomes full screen. And
yeah,
so
I have it done all the time. That's
okay.
I don't understand it. That's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will share the PDF then of your presentation.
Appreciate, lady. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Here we go, and I have it. Just give me a second. I have to open it. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Take the full screen there. It's in ACNO, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
And it was this number 5, I think. This is 2, 3. And the next one, please. Yes, thank you. So idea was first to give a refreshment training for the relevant authorities, in this respect, Navy and the Coast Guard. Then we had action or demand to take oil away from the 1 wreck at least, maybe from 2, and then to make kind of a proposal for the future wreck surveying program, or also think about the liability issues for our authorities, because there's wrecks are like a no-man ownership, that what to do with the wrecks, old wrecks. More than 100 years old wreck, we know who is the owner, but those like a war wrecks from 1920 up to the point that the Nairobi Convention was signed, they are like a no man's property, and then we need to get some understanding how to deal with those. If some wrecks start to leak a lot of oil, and that will be surfaced, then it's the case of the Finnish Water Guard, because they are the oil combating authority. But there are also cases that we have wrecks, they are leaking all the time, a little by little, and seems to us that we should do something in the future, that to make some actions to get rid of this kind of a leak. Can you change the next one, please? In the beginning, 2019, we also made kind of a risk analysis about
Na początku
odds we will meet during our 3 years of long project. We highlighted about wrecks, ownerships, the roles of responsible organizations. We were aware that each wreck, they are different. There are different conditions, age is different. They are laying there on the sea bottom in the different positions. And a lot of uncertainties there, that how much oil could be there inside. And going back to the SYKE register, for instance, we had a lot of figures there in our first register, some 35 years old register, that in certain wreck could be some 300 tons of oil, 500 tons of oil, but a lot of question mark, that are we speaking about the real figures, or are they just like odds again? For war wrecks, we have a lot of war wrecks in our territorial waters, both the German, Finnish and Soviet wrecks, which are full of ammo, explosives, and mines. And we made the decision when we started that we will not make any oil removal operations from those Frecks, because you need to first to make kind of a risk assessment because of the ammo, then to make the deactivation actions, and it could easily take 2-3 years when you have a free hands to go there and to try to make oil removal operations. We didn't have the time, so, but in the future, because there are a lot of victims inside hundreds of tons of oil. There are a lot of trawls, sediments, different cargo could cover those fuel tanks that you need to go there to take the oil away, a lot of things, plus that our limited resources, the economic resources we got from the government to conduct our work. Next slide, please.
Go. Oh, yeah, it changed. Perfect.
So the first year, 2019, we you went already 2 slides ahead. Can you go back?
Yes, I'm going back. Sorry for that. Okay.
No problem.
Wait a second. Really sorry for that, but yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, this one.
Here. Now you jump away. Okay, this one. So in 2019, we started to build up our resources. We started our training models with naval salvage divers. Jointly with Finnish Frontier Guard, we visited 9 different Frecks, 7 in the depths of 30 to 50 meters, and 2 were deeper than 70 meters. And I think it was about a dozen of different Frecks we were visiting using ROV and some diving operations, just to get an idea that what are the conditions. And they all were in our register, those kind of victims, they might have a lot of oil inside. We used the glider also to get an understanding that if you would put the glider to the water and give the coordinates that she can go there weeks and weeks and visit many of those victims, that would it give some oil early warning for us or something, that it's already now in the testing phase. We bought a new devices for Aranda, and then in the fall time, we succeeded to take the oil away from the bucket dredger valley outside of the Hanko Peninsula, and that was our first oil removal operation in 2019. And in the end of the year, we also visited 2 coastal Frecks, freighters in the Archipelago Sea, and we make the decision that those 2 ships lying there very close to each other, that they might be our goals for 2020. Can I get the next one, please? Here you can see those devices, 2019, that we got a new multi-beam echo sounder system for the Aranda. It's now in operation. We have used it already many times. There is a later couple of presentations. Side-scan sonar system is also in operations. And then we made an extension to sub-bottom echo sounding system of Aranda that we can also use when we are making a surveying around Frecks. Additionally, we also co-financed the Coast Guard, the Finnish Border Guards, a new wet bell diving support system for Turva. They already had made some assembly works for the ship, and the bell itself has been tested in Ojamo old mine, which is flooded by water. And I think the system will be in operation in June and to be tested during the summertime. The next one, please. The wet bell is a handy thing that we can send the divers to the water depths of 100 meters, and they will have a more diving time there, and it's a good support and the rescue system also for the divers. This is just a case of one of those, say 9 up to 12 cases we studied in 2019. This is the Russian Komsomolets submarine, and especially now, I think we have about a dozen of different submarines in our territorial waters. And I'm looking with my experts also that trying to make understanding that which of those might still have a lot of oil on board that they could raise some concern for us in the future. Many of those, they have exploded to the parts, and it's unlikely that there are massive amounts of oil inside. Next one, please. Here are just some pictures from this Veli bucket dredger we emptied 2019 that you can get there in the left-hand corner a picture of those buckets that they've been used for dredging operations. It took about a week to take the oil away. We got some 10 cubic meter of oil, and that was the first kind of training model, and we succeeded during this training to take the oil away. The next one, please. You can see there in the left corner this bucket dredger, and there in the middle, in the up, is 3D, just the one shot from the 3D model we prepared also, and it was a very handy tool to mark the holes for the systems to suck oil away from the fuel oil tanks. Downer pictures is the Finnish destroyer Ilmarinen, who also sunk during the Second World War. It's there laying in the archipelago sea area in the depth of 80 meters. And we expect that there is still some 80 to 100 tons oil inside. It's upside down there in the bottom, and it's in a way easy target because we know exactly where the fuel oil tanks are, but it's a double bottom system, and which makes it a bit difficult. But we have a systems already to go there. Next one, please. Here is just the artist picture that 2015, the group of Finnish divers went down to this Ilmarinen destroyer, and we also have been there now twice using ROV and building up the 3D model there for the future oil removal operation. Next one, please. And again, pictures from ROV and from the Turvas side scan sonar system. The next one, please. Uh, 2019, I explained already earlier that we make the decision to take away oils from 2 special Frecks in our archipelago sea. The map here is showing the Ahvenanmaa archipelago. Åland is the capital of Ahvenanmaa. It's one of the provinces of Finland. In the western side is the Stockholm, the Sweden, and on the right-hand side is Turku. And those Hanna Marjut and Fortuna ships laying about 800 meters apart, they were selected for the main targets 2020. The next one, please. We already visited there 2019, and you used the side scan sonar. You can see there the device, and there below the left-hand corner is one image showing one of those ships. In the middle, you can see the image of the sub-bottom profiler, and those funny-looking cone is actually the Freck. And on the right-hand ship, you can see our research vessel Aranda. The picture is very fresh. It's 3 days old. It's now there in the Gulf of Bothnia area in the ice, making a research. And in the autumn time, we took there a lot of oil, water samples and the sediment samples, and we also put them there the velocity meters to measure the currents around the Frecks during the whole winter time. And in the springtime 2020, we went there again with Aranda and took more samples, make a diving operations, and using the data, we were able then a later stage in August, September 2020 to go to those ships and to take the oil away. The next one, please. Here is this coastal freighter. They were used by transporting sugar roots. I'm not sure if it's the right English word. It capsized because the water went inside to the cargo. The cargo hatches were open. It was full of those vegetables, and it went down to the bottom. Is laying there sideways. The next one. Here you can see the position. The boat is heading to the north. The water depth is there about 34 meter, and in the aft about 40 meter. So it's not so deep target, and it's very good for training and refreshment of the salvage divers. The next one, please. Here is just a presentation from our MBS system. If you see that I think it was Stuart who was also referring in his presentation and showing the similar kind of a picture of SS Derbent. And I will not now here show, but if you go under the name is Hanna-Mari, is a YouTube address that you can see a 45-second of presentation about the very scarf presentation how to use the multi-beam, and then we are now making it more accurate. That's kind of a presentation made by like 1 or 2 cruising over the Freck. The next one, please.
Do you want me to show the video or?
No, don't show that. Okay. I need to go to sauna 7 o'clock. That better to go first this presentation through. It's very often that when you are working with the old Frecks, you don't have any drawings. And for instance, this Hanna-Mari, we're trying to find all the archives and the fault, and this was actually the only drawing. And then we found from the investigations report that actually this was not relevant at all, that all those fuel oil tanks, which you can see there in the midship, were taken away. And actually the fuel oil tanks were under the superstructure of the ship, where are those 2 small fuel oil and lubrication oil. So you need always to be prepared all kind of odds, and retrofitting job they have been done for the ships. They have a long lifespan, and that makes it also difficult that you really think you are there and going to touch the real fuel tanks, and then maybe you are drilling the hole to the ballast water tank. All right, the next one, please. But we used the 3D models. We used those our private sector divers. We used the Badewanne divers. We used the subzone. I think Imi Wallin of subzone make this image for us. And using this kind of material, you can have a 3D and look around the Freck there on the bottom from all different angles. It was easy also to show to the divers that go there. There is your goal. You should be afraid of or look around there, and this kind of information made it possible for us that we were able to take the oil away in 2 days instead of about a 2 weeks period. We first thought that it will take time. The next one, please. This is also from the 3D image. This is actually there. What you think is the roof is actually the right-hand side of the hull, because it's laying there on the sideways. And this wall is a wooden wall, and behind that was the main fuel oil tank. Simply to take some piece of wood away and drill the hole to the tank there in the upper corner. We emptied the tank, the main tank, and then it was actually like made the job. The next one, please. Here are also the pictures there that the hatches are those you can see there, and it was very vital to show for the divers that you can go there, and if there will be some problems, what are the routes to rescue or go away there if the main corridor, for instance, will be blocked. The next one, please. Here are just the pictures. As a platform for these operations, we used the naval oil combating ship Hylje, And we were also aware that there might be problems of the leaking oil, and we had a lot of oil boom and sorbent booms on board our ship. It was full of all kind of equipments, support systems for the Navy divers, and also the pressure chamber. If something will happen, that we can also take care of the divers already there on site. The next one, please. And just to show there that we found there a lot of different kind of diesel oils. Those yellow ones and the red ones, they were in such a kind of fresh oil that you can take the oil and put to your Volvo diesel car and just ignite and you can go. They were just the fresh oil. Ships were they're down, they sunk in 70s, so many decenials and still good quality oil. The next one, please. That's the second object for Tuna, the similar type of ship. The next one, and also capsized because of the same reason, was driving there, open hatches, carrying vegetables, the sugar roots. Next one, please. And it was a little bit in a shallower place, about 25 to 27 meter was the water depth there. The next one, please. And we also prepared a 3D model. In the first stage, we thought that all the fuel tanks in such a kind of small freighter will be there close to the machine room. So in this part of the victim, but later on, we also defined that they were actually in this cargo hold, on the bottom of the cargo hold, and they were the places that we started to then to make the oil removal operations. The next one, please. Here is the 3D image taken by our multi-beam system from Fortuna. Next one, please. And a big, just a wider thing. And if you see there in the midship, you can see something hanging around, and that was like a piece of a trawls we removed there by divers of Badevanne and SYKE research divers before we started the real operations there. The next one, please. Here is the salvage diver of our naval forces. Inside the cargo hatch, cargo compartment, you can see the part of this wooden pieces, they have been removed. And he's just now drilling a hole, actually directly to the manhole of the fuel tank. The next one, please. Similar picture there that, and we used the Badevanne divers there to make photos for us. And in a couple of weeks, we will have a video footage about these operations in the Kihti sea area in our archipelago sea. The next one, please. Then after those oil removal operations, we also studied jointly with Estonian experts. Ivar Treffner, I think, was the head of the Estonian group who were with us on board Aranda. We were looking for 4 objects, 1 destroyer, the Russian destroyer Cordy, and the 3 submarines. And just the idea was there that for this year, 2020, we need certain objects, they are leaking because we're gonna there to establish automatic measuring stations that through the Inmarsat system, we could get the real-time data to our laptops at the office. And it seems to us that they are the destroyer Cordy and submarine Shuka 311, which will be our targets this year. The next one, please. Then we also visited a new case, which will be our main target for this year. It's also in Archipelago Sea. Beatrice is the name of the Freck. It's full of gravel. And we don't know yet sure if the fuel tanks are there on the bottom, in the midship of the ship. If that's the case, we need to use mammoth techniques to take the gravel first away, then to reach the fuel oil tanks. But we have trained the naval people, the crew on board, their oil combating vessels and salvage divers to use the equipments. And we think that in a 2 weeks period, which is reserved for us for this year, we can do the job. The next one, please. We also understood that the cases, the sea environmental conditions can block all kind of Freck type of operations. The week 43, we tried to make surveying for Frecks Riegel and Simpson in an outer archipelago sea, but because of the rough weather, some technical problems, we couldn't get any good quality data at all and to define something that we need now for the future. And these 2 Frecks are also in our working list for this springtime, that maybe in the near future we will also take the oil away from those Frecks. The next one, please. This year, I already told that the diving bell will come to the process. It's the picture there down, which is giving a schematic idea about that. And then we will lift up 2 paravans. Juha Flinkman already explained that how they were used, and inside maybe some 10 kilo of mercury. And there are 2 Frecks close to Helsinki area that we tried to make a new lifting device and take them out, so that then the lifting device can be used later on for all kind of a dangerous object. We have one, but it's too small for this kind of object. This is around 3 meter and a 10 centimeter long object, torpedo form of a system. These batteries, we will take it out, the oil, and then we will have one international tender process, that we have one designated Freck that we are asking if some foreign companies, Finnish companies, will take the full responsibility and take the oil away. We are also working for the liability and the responsibility side of the governmental agencies. We have already made a draft report, and we will discuss with the ministries and the governmental agencies and try to define that how the case Frecks, the surveying, the responsibilities will go in Finland in the coming years. We also are building up the surveying program, and we think it would be very handy that we are doing jointly with Estonia, also with Russia in the Gulf of Finland waters. We are looking at the water quality every year, having a joint cruisings there and defining the parameters there. Why not to take some of the Frecks also, including to these cruisings in the future? And then we have decided to have an international Freck seminar in the fall time, maybe in October this year, to discuss about the Freck items. And why not in the HELCOM level to invite the speakers from each of the HELCOM country to give a hand there that what's the status quo of the Freck in each of our countries around the Baltic Sea. The next one, please. A couple of years ago, I made this slide based on our joint bonus-funded Svera project. There was a Chalmers University of Sweden, Tallinn Technical University and SYKE. And I used the Swedish FRACA model, which is a kind of a risk assessment tool, very handy to be used, and we use it also. And to define these 11 high-risk Frecks that we should have like a special concern in Finland. Some of those, they are no more threats because they are in so poor conditions or destroyed already that there are probably no oil left, but we have found more new victims. So we have now 24 or 25. But there is an address, if you like to, you can go to the Svera pages and there are still good information about the FRACA tool, or you can go to the Swedish Chalmers University's pages and define there the ways that how the Swedish party has defined how to define risks related to the Frecks, environmental risk. The next one, please. Here is just like a kind of that you can get some understanding about that how the FRACA has, what kind of models it consists. And the next one, please. I like to also to raise my hat to the Swedish Havok-fakten that I have now explained our project, which is about 3, maybe 4 years long, in Sweden, our colleagues there, Havokvatten side, they have a 10 years long project. I think they started 2017 within this Thetis Freck, which is there in the left-hand corner. And check the address and go there. You can have the excellent information about how our Swedish colleagues, they have a work with those Frecks. They have about 31 high priority risk, and during the 10 years, I don't know actually that how many Frecks they're gonna get oil away. Fredrik Lindgren, of the project manager, is also following our conference now here, and that's like we have a good cooperation discussion about Swedish and Estonian colleagues about what's the faith in this very moment, and those models they are using, we can also use part of their models there. And I see that having this kind of a close cooperation, maybe we can in the near future have kind of a Baltic model there, that we have a joint water, we have a kind of a similar systems there, and understanding that we can use the similar procedures also to define those high risk Frecks, and also to get some funding or resources in the longer stage to get rid of the oil pollution problem. The next one, please. So that's kind of a last slide. There you can see the ships, which is there up is the Turva, 100 meter long, the coastal clipper, which we are mainly using for surveying. They have a new ROV. They will have this large wet well system there. Aranda there is in the middle. Also, we like to use it in the future for the surveying and sample taking things. And in the bottom are two naval vessels, Louhi and Hylje. Hylje and Halli are similar kind of ships. So we have now like 5 ships. Their crew, they have been, they have got training, refreshment training, and they have got some understanding that how and what kind of a task they will meet when we are speaking about the Frecks, and they are highly motivated to continue these ships, because we all see that we need to solve these kind of things in coming years. Yeah, I think, dear audience there, Olga and Benedict, that if you will still put the last one, there might be my name and my colleague's name, that we will be available if you will ask more later on. Thank you.